Okay. So I just wanted to go back and show you the sections, right? We talked about these sections earlier. So the first part of Bhagavad Gita, and we are about this first 26 verses of the first chapter. We saw how the first 13 verses were about Duryodhan speaking as a diplomatic start to the war. He was using his own diplomacy to pump up his guru, his other members of his side. Uh, and then the next section was about Pandav's victory. We see all those other things that show up, the divine conch shell and Hanuman's presence and so forth. Now, in this last section, we are doing, the last section of the first half of the chapter, we'll see Krishna coming in as a charioteer. Right? And we talked about it that that's the humility of Krishna. That's the amount of love he has for his devotees, that he is ready to come as a chariot driver. Once Mahaprabhu was touring South India and he was in a temple and he saw one of the devotees. He was holding the Bhagavad Gita upside down and he was crying. So Mahaprabhu asked him, "Why are you crying?" He said, the person said, "My guru told me to read the Bhagavad Gita, but I am an illiterate. I cannot read. So what should I do?" And then Mahaprabhu said, "Why are you crying then?" He says, "Whenever I see this picture of the Lord being a charioteer of his devotee, it just makes me cry that how loving my Lord is, how loving Krishna is. How can anybody be more valuable than Krishna, who's ready to become the charioteer of his devotees, right?" And we see a similar statement in the Bhagavatam where it's Uddhav, I think, speaking to Vidur in the third canto. And no, it's not Uddhav. Or is it Uddhav? I don't remember. But there's this beautiful verse, right, that which says that about uh, Krishna making Putana his nurse, right? Kamva dayalu sharanam vrajema. That who else would like to take shelter of? Whom else would you like to take shelter of? Once you know Krishna, who gave the position of somebody who had come to kill her as a nurse in his spiritual world. So yeah, so Krishna as a Bhakt Vatsala is represented in these last verses. And then following that, I think there is another, where is the section? So yes, once we finish this part, 26, then there'll be 5 reasons that Arjun will give for not to fight. And I have these sections here, 27 to 30, 31 to 35, and we'll go through these sections as we read them. But just to give you an overall view of the first chapter, it's observing the armies and then Arjun's reasons for not fighting. So with that, we will come to verse 23. 23. Yes. Yotsyamanan avikshayaham ya ete atra samagataha dhatrashtrasya durbuddhe yuddhe priya chikirshavah. So Arjun is saying now to Krishna, let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Right? So Priya, what's that verse called? Priya Chikirshavah. So it's Priya Chikirshavah means Priya well-wishing. Right? So it's saying, so the word Iksha, right? So Chikirshavah means Iksha, there's a part in it is Iksha. So Iksha is I. Right? So if you see in this verse, we are saying, what is that? Aveksha. Sorry. Aveksha. See. So Iksha is a part of the word Aveksha. Right? And then we saw that in, I think, a couple of verses before that came, was it here, 21? Niriksha. Right? So this also has the word Iksha into it, right? So just so that you can understand better that how these verses. So the word Iksha here, Niriksha means look upon, or like Nirikshan karna in Sanskrit. In Hindi it said Nirikshan, to observe the army. That's what he was doing, right? But then when we see here, it's Avekshe, right? Here, even though it's the same Iksha, but the intent is different. Earlier, he was observing like a warrior, but now he's compassionate. Arjun is compassionate. There's compassion in his heart now that you can feel it. Just let me see who has come to fight him, right? And Duryodhan is called Durbuddhe. Durbuddhe means evil intelligence, right? So in the olden days, people didn't have just one name, as you have seen here. Krishna has so many names. Arjun is being called so many names. So the word Suyodhan, if you look at the opposite of the word Duryodhan, Suyodhan refers to the person who fights virtuously, right? Uh, and Duryodhan on the opposite can be somebody who fights in a cheating tendency. He cheats. He doesn't fight fair and square. Or it could even mean that it's somebody who is difficult to defeat and fight. It could mean both of them, right? And so Duryodhan in itself is not necessarily a negative name, although from his behavior, Duryodhan's behavior, it can be associated with negative connotations of that name. So yeah, but that's something to understand. And you'll notice that here it's saying, let me see who has come here to fight. And then in the earlier one also, Arjun was saying something similar. Draw my chariots between the two armies. I want to see who have come here to fight, with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So it's something similar, right? So seem to be saying the same thing. But there is a slight difference there that, as I was saying, in this verse 21, 22, he was not necessarily becoming compassionate. So as we move from 21 to 23, compassion in his heart has come out. So there's a significant increase in the compassionate aspect in Arjun. So that's something that's a difference in both of them. As we're talking about it, Nirikshe and Aveksha. Yes, Sandeep.
Prabhuji, from a Korva's perspective, it's like little weird. Like, why would they be called like with these names like Dushasan, Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra? Because those are usually associated with like negative connotations, right? So, I mean, any story like why would be like, I mean, they were bad in character, but even they were named bad in character, right? For some reason. So why were they like named like that? Or
So, uh, so you're asking why did they have those names, or I didn't get your question,
yeah,
probably.
yeah, yeah. Like because Dushasan means like somebody who's not. I mean, Dushasan, like if you translate into Hindi, it's most like somebody who's not good at Shasan, right? Doing like
Hmm.
ruling.
Okay.
Similarly, Dhritarashtra is like who is against the Rashtra or something, right? I mean those are like negative connotations there, right? Especially with these names, Duryodhan, right? It's like Dur.
Hmm. Okay.
So my
Oh,
question is,
I
why
get you.
would
Yeah.
their parents name them like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So to so you understand this, as I was just telling you, the word Duryodhan could mean two different things. Duryodhan could mean somebody who's Yudh. There's a word Yudh in there, right? Yudh means war. So Duryodhan could be somebody who doesn't fight fair and square. He cheats in that fighting. Or it could also mean somebody who's very difficult to defeat and fight. So how to say it? So Duryodhan can mean somebody who's hard to fight with, a formidable warrior. Similarly, Dushashan, yes, it could mean in one sense who doesn't know how to do Shashan, but then it could also mean hard to govern, somebody who's powerful in command. You cannot govern him. So, in one sense, these names were supposedly auspicious from the perspective of the parents, like Dhritarashtra, who desired sons who were fearsome. Okay? So, but then later on, when the Kauravas envy and their cruelty, it became evident. The same names were or reinterpreted in the negative sense, right? So this shift is common in Sanskrit language. Names take on the character of the person, right? Like for example, Krishna, one of the names of Krishna is called Ranchor, right? You have read, if you have read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a story when, I think there was one warrior who was trying to attack, who attacks Dwarka, and then Krishna is running away from him. So he's called Ranchor. However, when we think of Krishna as Ranchor, we get this loving tendency in our heart. Oh my God, look at this Bhagavan. He's killing two birds with a stone. He runs into this cave, and then there is this king is sleeping, and long story in Srimad Bhagavatam. But we don't look at a negative connotation to that name. Otherwise, Ranchor could be anybody who just runs away from the war, which is not a good thing for Kshatriyas. But when we think of it from Krishna's perspective, it becomes a positive name. So similarly, some names when they were given, the parents gave those names with an auspicious thought, right? But when later on the name was misused or those people become demoniac or something, then that name brought a negative connotation to it. So by itself, the name is not negative. I just want to highlight that part. Did that
Eh,
make sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So so this is something. Yeah, you brought out a good point there. The words can have different meanings, and we have to know what is the exact context in which those words are being spoken. And you will notice this in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna uses the word Atma with many different words, many different meanings. So I'll highlight that as those words come. But so it's very important that when we read Bhagavad Gita, we should understand not just Bhagavad Gita, any scripture. We have to have an understanding of the context and the intent why that thing was being done. And it's good to have that. That way you are able to get into the Shastra more deeply. If we just read it as a literature, then we are just very superficial. We are not taking a deep dive into the Shastra. So it's always good to do that.
Prabhuji, sometimes in scriptures, Lord will call Duryodhan as Suyodhan.
Okay, I'm not sure. Is in the Mahabharata, you mean there's some instances?
Yeah, yes, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
He
Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, if it is so, yeah, Krishna would have done that, yes. Was there somebody else saying something? No? Okay. So yes, so we just saw that Dhritarashtra part 24. Somebody wants to read 24 and share their thoughts? Read the Sanskrit purport translation and share your thoughts. I don't know if somebody who didn't get a chance last time.
I can read.
Yes, please.
Sanjaya uvacha eva mukto hrishikesho kutakeshena bharata senayorupayorumatye sthapayitva sratotamam.
Oh, wow,
Sanjaya
that's good.
said, O descendant of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
Hmm.
So this verse,
Do
I
you want
was,
to read the purport?
yeah, it's a short, so I can read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
This verse, Arjun is referred as Kudakesha. Kudaka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Kudakesha. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjun conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment, because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or samadhi. As the Hrishikesha, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so and spoke as follows. So I was very touched by the name Kudakesha, and it's literally lifting one from the mode of tamas and the deep ignorance. The ignorance is not necessarily not knowing the facts, but even if you are most opulent in this material world, the fact that you don't know you are in the realm of material existence, that is also that is a deeper ignorance that we are all born with. So Krishna is waking Arjun, and then he's calling that name appropriately. So that is the one that I took away from this verse.
Okay, no, thank you. Yeah, this is an important word, Gudakesha. Um, and also there is Rishikesha is again back up. So you'll notice that in this section of the Bhagavad Gita, the word Rishikesha is being used quite often. So he's now here in this context, the reason that the word Rishikesha is being brought about, and we'll come to that Gudakesha part in a minute. Rishikesh is the master of our senses. And If you look at the literal meaning, yes, Arjun is asking Krishna to take him to the middle of the battlefield. In a more philosophical sense, you can see that Rishikesha is the master of our senses, and he is being dictated where to take the chariot of our life. Right? And this is kind of weird, Bhagavan, he's sitting in my heart, and I'm telling him, no, Bhagavan, I want to go here. Oh, no, I don't want to do bhakti. I want to have fun. So that's kind of a weird thing. So, and then Arjun's qualification is Gudakesha, right? For us, we all can be Gudakesha by not sleeping during our chanting, right? So just try not to do that. So yeah, at least we should try to be Gudakeshas at that time. That when we are chanting, we don't. So the word Gudakesha, as Prabhupada is telling us, is one who conquers sleep. And Arjun, he practiced archery very painstakingly, where he learned the art the whole day, the art of archery the whole day, and then he would practice at night also. And that is how he became a champion archer. And that's how he got his name, Gudakesha. This was his commitment to excellence. You don't find many such people who are committed to so much of excellence. And we can take home a suggestion here that from Prabhupada that, hey, we can ask ourselves, how much committed are we to our excellence in service, in serving Prabhupada? So that's something to keep in mind. Another meaning of Gudakesha, and Prabhupada is giving us that is, where was that? Ignorance. That's another thing that Prabhupada is highlighting. And so Gudakesha means somebody who has no ignorance in heart. And how do we remove our ignorance from our heart? It is by bringing Krishna in there. Okay? Krishna comes and he cleans our heart. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, there's the 10th verse, right? Tesham Sadata Yuktanam Bhajata Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mamupayantite. So whoever approaches me with love, I give him knowledge. Tesham evanukampartham aham agyan jamtamah nashyami atma bodhasto jnana deepena bhasvata. By the lamp of knowledge, I burn all the ignorance in the devotee's heart, who sincerely tries to connect with. So the point to remember is that Krishna is not asking us to be perfect. He never asks us to be perfect for any step. Not like, oh, I will only get initiated when I'm perfect. Forget about it. No. Krishna is ready to accept us as where we are, as long as we are sincere and we want to connect with him. That's the only requirement that we have. Be sincere in our practice. That's all Krishna asks for. There is no other request, right? So yeah. So yes, that's the.
Can I ask one question? So you just said one who always remembers Krishna, but when in like my personal case is you always feel bad that you didn't give your best. Like my chanting wasn't the best. I couldn't get up early enough to do more rounds in the morning. You always feel a little bit of short of your best version. And would that be considered as thinking of Krishna as well?
Oh, you mean when you're feeling guilty, would that be counted as thinking of Krishna? Is that what you're asking?
For guilty for not doing enough. But yeah, you can say that.
So, see, guilt is not a good thing, to be frank with you. Guilt is actually one of Maya's trick to fool us and to pull us away from bhakti. And the reason I say that is because if you get too much into guilt for not doing bhakti properly, then you will get discouraged and demotivated. And then you might not pick up, you might even go down further next day. Let's say today you woke up and you did 16 rounds somewhere or the other and you're just criticizing yourself for it. Next day, you might not even be able to wake up and do those 16 rounds. So guilt is not a good thing to have, at least from a bhakti perspective. You should have only enough guilt that motivates you to push to be better the next day. Any more guilt than that is harmful for our bhakti. I'm not sure if that made sense or that answered your question.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, so don't be guilty of anything. And I don't know if I showed that verse to all of you. This is one of my favorite verses ever. It's 11, 20, 27. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter number 20, verse number 27, 28. I'll show you that. It's one of my favorite verses. Whenever things are not working according to what I want it to be, and I always pull up this verse to read, and it's always helpful. And let me share my screen. Okay. So this is a very good word. There are two words. Jato Shraddha Mat Kathasu Nirvinna Sarva Karmashu Veda Dukhatmakan Kaman Parityage Api Anishvara. Tato Bhajeta Mam Prita Shraddhalur Dridha Nishchaya Jusha Manas Chatan Kaman Dukho Darkams Chagaryan. I know it might be hard for all of you to memorize Sanskrit. Just give it a try. I can't tell you how sweet it is when you recite Sanskrit. And I always love to recite it. But coming to the verse, this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava in the 11th canto. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. So, what Krishna is saying here is that Krishna understands that we are not perfect, right? We know that this is not good for me, but my mind does not let me, mind is out of control. But even for that, Krishna calls that person my devotee, is this way, right? And in Sanskrit, it is uh, Mam Prita, right? Mam. So my devotee. So Krishna is still calling us our devotee, even though we are not perfect. And should be a big motivation for all of you. That even though we are not perfect, we are far from where our Guru Prabhupada want us to be, but Krishna accepts us. As long as we have faith and conviction. That's something we have to work on, all of us. Okay, I won't take more time on that. If somebody's keeping track, it's 11, 20, 27, 28. Let's get back to our verse. Okay. So then I think this is good here. Yes, so Prabhupada is bringing out the concept of ignorance. And we know that the mode of ignorance, there are three modes, right? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. And in the 14th chapter, we'll talk about in detail about the three modes. And Krishna tells us the effect of that mode of ignorance is pramad, alasya, nidra bhis. So pramad, alasya, and nidra. So it's madness, indolence, and sleep. So sleep is directly connected to ignorance. Even Krishna does that in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, 25. Kalpeshu, you had raised your hand. Please read if you would like to. Are you still there, Kalpeshu? You're gone. Okay, somebody else wants to read in the meantime?
I can read if there's no one else. If there's someone, they can go ahead because I read last week.
Okay, you read last week?
I can read, Prabhu.
Oh, Kalpeshu, you're here? Okay, you want to read?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
भीष्मद्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महिक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् समवेतान् कुरुनिति. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chiefs all of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Parth, all the Kurus assembled here."
Any thoughts
So,
you want to share?
yeah, Arjun wanted to just see the opponents that he will be fighting against, and he sees his gurus Bhishma, Drona, and all the other leaders of Kurus.
Yeah. Yes, he's seeing all of them, and here we see the names of Bhishma and Drona coming up, and there's multiple reasons because Bhishma and Drona, they both were Arjun. Arjun was their favorite, Dronas and Bhishmas.
Yes.
So they are being brought up. Yes. So yes. So one thing to see here is something that I wanted to highlight here was um, Arjun, by seeing his family members, he gets compassionate and confused. Right? So Maya, or as we say, this material energy, how does it contact us? Is through the eyes predominantly. Whereas Krishna, we hear Krishna. Right? So even a person exalted as Arjun, and with whom Krishna is right there, can get confused by pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means what you see. If he relies too much on it, we have to have the intelligence to discriminate. We have to rely on Krishna's shabda, right? What Krishna is saying, what the shastras are telling us, and not become trapped by what we are seeing, right? So people ask this question that, oh, these people look so happy, but they're not practicing bhakti. That's very confusing sometimes but then in truth, we don't know what those people are living in their lives. We don't know what kind of a life they're living. So we're only seeing a fraction of their lives. So yes, so we always look, Krishna comes through ears. That's something to understand here, right? So, so it's 25. Yes, and so this is technically not the first verse that Krishna is speaking, but you can see here the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." So this is not a specific verse that Krishna. So it's not starting with Shri Bhagavan Uvacha or something. So it's just been blended into the verse. Krishna actually starts speaking in the second chapter, but this is the first place where we can hear or we can see what Krishna is highlighting. Yes, Jhulan Yatra, you had your hand up.
Yeah, that is what I was going to say, that this is the only sentence where Krishna spoke in this chapter.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, the only sentence where he's speaking. Thank you. So yes, this is a very weird request that Arjun is making, right? And here, to some extent, even Krishna is like mocking him. Oh, oh, you wanted to see your family members here. You wanted to see them. To kind of, Krishna is also joking. And then Krishna has placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. Or it could also mean that Bhishma and Drona were seen as the most prominent. So it's not very clear here, right? So the Kurus are in front, and Krishna is just saying, see, there's nothing to see here. What do you want to see here? Right? Kids are sometimes stubborn, saying, I want to do this, I want to do this, and parents just say, okay, go ahead, do it. Now, what can parents do? So similarly, Krishna is also pointing out the strangeness of Arjun's request. So Krishna is saying, see now, he's joking. Yeah. So we all of us have our Bhishma and Dronas that we are seeing. There is our family members and so on and so forth. So Krishna is creating, or the whole scenario is being created. A background is created for Bhagavad Gita to be spoken, right? And then in the purport, we will see that where's that? Here, Prabhupada is becoming a bit personal here. He's telling us the relationship between Krishna and Arjun. So Krishna's father was Vasudev, who's the brother of uh, Arjun's mother, Kunti. So they both are cousins, actually, Krishna and Arjun. So Prabhupada is highlighting that. Okay, 26. Somebody wants to read 26?
I can read.
Yes, please go ahead.
Acharya. Oh, is it Acharya Matulan Bharataran?
No, it starts up here, right?
Okay.
Tatra paschat sthitan partha.
Tatra pashyat sthitan partha pitrinata pitamahan. Acharyan Matulan Bhratan Putran Pautran Sakhim Stata Vasuran Suhradaschaiva Senayorubayorapi. There Arjuna could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers.
Any thoughts to share, Keshav?
So it says within the midst of both the armies of both parties, so you can see like that their fathers, grandfathers, teachers, and all those people in both parties, both armies. Yeah.
So one thing to notice here is there are like different generations that are being referred to here. There's the father, there are the grandfathers. So there are multiple generations that are being referred to here, right? Actually, there are in total 5 generations. If you see, there are grandsons, sons, himself, Arjun, his father, and his grandfather. So there are 5 generations that are being referred to here that are standing in the middle of a battlefield, right? So the word pitran, right? There are very beautiful words here. Pitran. Pitran is father. Pitamaha is Pitamaha is grandfather, yes. And there is Putran. Putran is son, and Pautran is grandson. So those, and then there are friends, Sakhims, which are of the same generation as Arjun. There are 5 generations that are being brought up here. And then Prabhupada gives a lot of names in there, right? That there is Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya. There were uncles like Shalya, Shakuni. There were sons like Lakshmana, Ashwathama, Prithvirma. So there's Prabhupada is giving some names there, right? Right. So yeah, so there are many generations, and again, the thought process is being here shown. Like, how is Arjun seeing them? He's not seeing them as enemies anymore. He's seeing them as families, family members. So that compassion is rising in his heart, which is creating a scenario, a background for all of us to hear the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So, and one thing I always like about this is that there are different names for different, relatives. In English, there's always an uncle, but if you go to Sanskrit, there are different uncles, different names for each uncle. So, something the subtleness of the language that's being spoken. 27. Somebody wants to read 27?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead.
तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेय सर्वान् बद्धुम् अवस्थितान् कृपया परायविष्टो विसीदानिदम् अब्रवीत्. Translation: When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different traits of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So here, the son of Kunti, Arjun, saw everyone here, their grandfathers, relatives, friends, everyone, and he got overwhelmed with compassion, and thus he spoke thus, right? So next is
Yeah.
Arjun Uvacha. So can I read, Prabhuji?
Just give me a second here. So let's just spend a minute on this one that you just read.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so he's overwhelmed with compassion. So as we have been talking, the compassion has been brewing up. It's been growing in his heart. Initially, he was seeing them as enemies. Now he's seeing them as uncles, uncles, grandfathers, fathers, and now he's seeing them as different grades of friends and relatives. Right. So being compassionate without God consciousness is not very helpful. Right? So compassion. So it's like it's made of 2 words, right? Compass and passion. When you have passion, a desire to serve, but then it's not associated with the compass of knowledge, of wisdom, then it's not much useful. You can be passionate, but to be compassionate, you need the compass of knowledge to direct you in the right way. And that compass of knowledge comes from Bhagavad Gita and similar scriptures. So without that, God consciousness is without that, it's not compassionate activities are not much value without Krishna in the picture, right? So, and then again, Krishna is not asking us to withdraw from the world. he asks us to fulfills Krishna's mission of compassion for all living beings. That's Bhakti Yoga. Right? So it's fully integrated. So compassion is to be there along with Krishna consciousness. Yes, you can read the next one now. Okay,
Sure.
please.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
So in previous verse, Prabhu, Krishna is actually intentionally showing Arjun his relatives, fathers, grandfather, and friends, so
Hmm.
that feeling is coming out from his heart. Now he going to become like, the compassion is coming out from his heart. Like how can I kill them? How can I fight them?
Yes.
Because they are my
Yeah.
father, grandfather, and even the teachers are there in front of him.
Yes. Yes. And actually, here, just to give you what you said was correct. I just want to add there. In this verse that we read, which is 25, we
Right,
see
Prabhu.
that Krishna has brought Arjun in front of Bhishma and Drona. And then he says, Hey, Partha, look at all the Kurus assembled here. And then Arjun is just scanning the whole battlefield. And there he sees his family members, his teachers, gurus, maternal uncles, and so on and so forth, father-in-law, well-wishers, and all of that. So it's, yes, as you rightly said, that it's growing, right? But
Right.
then Krishna is the one who's pushed Arjun in that way. Like, first of all, Arjun makes a very weird request. Take me in the middle of the battlefield. Krishna knows what's happening. Krishna is Paramatma sitting right in his heart. He knows what he's going through. And he takes him right in front of Bhishma and Drona so that his compassion could even increase significantly by seeing his own uncle and teacher,
Right.
right? And then furthermore, once he sees them, he's already now kind of, oh my God, I don't want to fight them. He's in that mindset. And then he sees his other family members, which even further makes him weak. So it's yes, the story is building up. His compassion is building up for the Bhagavad Gita to be spoken.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Text 28. Arjun Uvacha Drishtivemam Swajanam Krishna Yuyustam Sum Sabuspasthitam Siddhanti Mama Gatrani Mukham Cha Parisuyati. Text.
Parishushati. Whenever there is a dash,
Parishyati.
yeah,
Sorry,
when there is a
please.
dash over the S or a dot below S, it's a sha. So I'm
Okay.
just telling so that when you keep these things, all of us, not just for you, I'm not saying just you, when we keep these things in mind, then when we read it, then the whole Sanskrit comes out, right? Like for example, a dash over A, it becomes A, Gatrani, and a
Okay.
dot below an N is Ra, Gatrani. So it makes the language very beautiful. Yes,
Okay,
go ahead,
Prabhu.
please.
Thank you. So, text Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. Purport
Yes.
by Srila Prabhupada. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas the non devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had to decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver, and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna, although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness but to his soft heartedness. A characteristic of pure devotee of the Lord, it is said, therefore, Yasyati bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunaishtatra samaste sura harav abhak tasya kuto mahad guna मनोरथै nasati dhavato bahi. Right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, that was good. Nice.
Yeah. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods, but one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering in the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Bhagavad Gita 5.18.12.
Bhagavatam.
Oh, sorry.
Srimad
Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam 5.18.12. Yeah, this is Narada Muni speaking to Vyasadeva and Nandishkan. Or is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
So
Yeah.
here, Prabhuji, the quality Srila Prabhupada has given the quality of devotee and non-devotee. So who is the devotee? They having the quality is like a demigods, and whereas the non-devotee, he is advanced, he may be material, but they are more likely, the having the qualification of materialistics, like culture lacks of godly qualities.
Yeah.
So after seeing Arjuna, his relatives on the battlefield, so we have seen in the, he's seeing his relatives, friends, teachers. So his mouth is getting dry, and his body is quivering. So these are the symptoms, because he's seeing their relatives in opposite to, in the battlefield in front of him. So. So what all think, Prabhu?
So yeah, so there's some symptoms there, right? So his body is
Right,
quivering and so forth. So if you notice, his whole perception has changed. Just a few
right,
verses
Prabhu.
ago, we read Durbuddhe Dhatrashtrasya Durbuddhe. That who are these evil-minded people who have come to fight me, who've come to fight with the son of against me with the son of Dhritar. So he was in an angry mood, but now suddenly he's in a sympathetic mood,
Change. Yeah,
right? Friends and relatives, and he's surprised. Oh, why do they want to fight me? So this is the beginning of Arjun's reason for not fighting. And let me go back to the slides. Where were they? As I was showing you earlier, all of you. So compassion,
right.
misplaced compassion. Actually, it's not even compassion. So this is the beginning of the compassionate part that Arjuna is now saying, oh, why do I want to kill them? There is compassion whelming in his heart. And he thinks that, oh, why are they doing it? So we've seen that compassion come out. And important thing, where's that? Sorry. Yeah. So yes. No, I don't want to show that. I want to show the verse.
And these symptoms, Prabhuji, here, Srila, Srila Prabhupada has said, this is not due to weakness. This is because of soft-heartedness. A
So
devotee is having is also compassionate towards others. So
yes.
that's why the Arjuna is also giving the same symptoms, like he's a devotee of the Lord. That's why he's getting compassionated to seeing others.
Yes. Yeah. So here, yes, he's seeing compassionate. However, as we were just talking, that he's seeing, right? So he wanted to see who's come to fight. So it caused a forgetfulness of whatever Krishna taught. Or
Right.
like he's a devotee. He's just pretending to be all this. So he knows what the message of Bhagavad Gita is. However, he's just pretending that by seeing, he's lost that knowledge. And so is the case with all of us, because we have been so enamored by this world, we have forgotten what Krishna is speaking from within our heart to us. So we need to hear so much more often. That is why Prabhupada stressed a lot on hearing. You have to hear, right? So feeling emotions is not wrong, right? When we see others suffering, we feel compassion, right? But then that compassion should also be connected with the compass of knowledge, as I was saying. That it becomes perfect. Otherwise, it's just half-baked compassion. So yes, that's a good point. So yes, beginning of Arjun's reasons for not fighting, right? So there is this conflict between his selfish desire versus what Krishna wants him to do, right? So for us, self-interest means aham and mama, right? This body and the extensions of this body, they all are mine, right? And we talked about it in the beginning, dehatma buddhi. This is called dehatma buddhi. That's the problem. And Krishna pulls us out of this in the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is soft-hearted, compassionate. He's logical, he's intelligent, he's a cultured person, but he cannot handle certain issues in life without a teacher. And here we think I can figure out everything by myself. So that's something. So every verse has a meaning that we can take home also for all of us. It's not just, yeah, we read it that yes, Krishna is on the battlefield and Arjun said this. There's something for all of us to take home from these, right? Okay, yeah. So and Prabhupada quotes the cherry on the pie is this verse that Prabhupada is quoting from the fifth canto. That when we don't have devotion to Krishna, we might be the smartest person in the world, but that doesn't have much value. Because when we leave this body, that smartness will go away with the body. But whoever is a devotee, he carries that devotional aspect in his next life also. Wherever you have been, let's say you finish at 49% in this life. Next life, we all will start at 50% then. That's the beauty of bhakti. We never lose anything. It's a permanent bank account we have. Nothing is lost there. But whereas our material, whatever we have gained, it's going to be lost in this life. We'll have to start from scratch in the next life again. Thank you.
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yes,
So,
please.
as a devotee, Prabhu, it's a right feeling because when we become a devotee, if any if you seeing somebody is in pain or they are not following the regulative principle or some other things also, as we are practicing devotees, so we are thinking that let me help them, right? Because out of compassion. So it's a right feeling because Prabhu, nobody will understand if you can say anything, let me help you, but they will say no, we are good, and such words they will say, but they will not admit that they are in pain. So is it a right feeling for a devotee, a practicing devotee?
So the feeling, I didn't get what feeling are you referring to?
So Prabhu, out of compassion, right?
Yeah.
Because others are doing something which is not a devotee is not practicing those things, right? So they are in pain, right? We can clearly see they are in pain. So out of compassion, we seeing them like we let me help them,
Mhm.
but the party is not ready to take the help from you. So but still our heart is very soft, right, for from that corner because we are a devotee. So is it a right feeling, Prabhu? We should the out of compassion we should say something, or it's okay sometimes just to seeing them, observe them, let it be like Krishna will help them. It's okay.
Uh, yes, you can help them. However, we all have a free will. We all have chosen spirituality voluntarily. Nobody forced you, nobody forced me.
Right.
If somebody is not open, trying to push them can backfire and make them more resistant to bhakti and to spirituality. So we have to be very careful, and devotees are very careful, and they're very very sensitive to other people's
Right.
viewpoints, and so yes, it's the desire to help is very good. However, we have to respect the other person's free will, and also we have to know where we stand. For example, it's in the 11th canto. There is a verse where I think I might have talked about it, where the quality of a madhyam adhikari is given. I think it's 11:247, if I remember correctly. 46, sorry, here it is. So what here is being told is a madhyam adhikari, he offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to the ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious.
Right.
So we have to judge where does the other person stand when we are talking to that other person. If he is innocent, he just doesn't know. Okay, he just doesn't know. He has no idea. Oh, there is Bhagavan has a farm, and he's this beautiful, youthful boy, like the color of the fresh cloud or something. And you tell them, and they will accept it because they just didn't know. That's what happened when Prabhupada came here. Obviously, Prabhupada was pure, so his Vani had immense power to it. He talked to these so-called hippies, and they just accepted what Prabhupada was saying. They were innocent. However,
Right.
if the person you're talking to is envious, and you can see that that person is just trying to prove his or her point, there is no sense in banging our heads with them. You can think good of them from within your heart. Well, you can be their well-wisher, but you cannot express it because they will never accept it.
Right.
So what I mean to say is, it's very good to have a quality of compassion towards people, even though they don't understand. However, we also have to understand where we stand in our bhakti process, and am I in a position to give this person bhakti? Might be 5 out of 10 times I might not be in a position, so I just have to ignore those people, just stay away and just pray for them. And probably 5 times out of 10 they might be just ignorant and innocent, and I might be able to help them. So something to judge for ourselves.
Right, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Yes, so we have been seeing, so now, as I was saying, the compassionate part of Arjun is coming out here, right? And what he is showing now, you can see that in this verse we read, he's saying, my limbs of my body are quivering and my mouth is drying up. And what does he say in the next verse? He says, my whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiv is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. So where was my slides? I wanted to show you all something. Where was that? What? I had that somewhere. Where's that? Yes. So signs of compassion we saw, right? So his different body parts are having different signs. His limbs are quivering, mouth is drying, whole body is trembling, hair are standing on end, hands and they're both slipping, skin is burning, legs unable to stand. So Prabhupada in the purport, I think in one of them, he explains that trembling can be because of two reasons. There could be great spiritual ecstasy, or it could be under material condition. You tremble under fear also, many times we do that, right? So, but then so what we are seeing in this verse 29th, the trembling is out of fear. Prabhupada is mentioning that in the purport to us, right? So yes, a lot of signs that are showing up. So now another thing I wanted to highlight here. Here Prabhupada is saying Arjun's symptom in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. In the earlier verse we just read, Prabhupada is saying such symptoms in Arjun were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. So in this verse, Prabhupada is calling him a pure devotee, and the other verse he's calling him a materialist. That's a very interesting thing that Prabhupada is explaining us, right? So the way to understand that is, so when scriptures are being narrated and events are happening, emphasis is not generally on what's right and wrong. So don't necessarily just put a great emphasis on what's right. Oh, here Arjun is in a material consciousness, here is in a spiritual. Yeah, that's good to know. Emphasis should be on learning what we can learn from that situation. What can I imbibe from that situation? At one point, you can say that, oh, all this is Lord's pastime, is Krishna's pastime. He's making Arjun do this and all that, right? And he's just exhibiting different quality. From that perspective, that Arjun is a devotee, he's exhibiting quality of compassion, we can learn from that. That's something for us to learn, as we were just talking about, having compassion towards others. Another way to look at it is that Arjun is under illusion and he's acting conditioned under the influence of material nature. So when we see him act in a conditioned way, in a material way, we have to see what is the philosophical point that we can learn from his action. Because we all are conditioned. So these two things are not necessarily contradictory. That's what I want to highlight to you. We take both perspectives and we learn from both perspectives. Point is that we should see Lord's associates as exalted. And at the same time, when they are brought under illusion, we should learn not to go under illusion. That should be our learning. Don't try to look for a defect in Arjun. Just see what can I learn from what Arjun is presenting at this moment to me. So chapter 1 is giving us a need for spiritual knowledge. And Arjun's qualification is there. He's soft-hearted and compassionate for spiritual knowledge. We're seeing that, okay? So that's one aspect that we're learning from the first chapter. Need for spiritual knowledge. And Arjun's qualification for spiritual knowledge is he's soft-heartedness and compassionate. At the same time, when one is in a bodily conception, one will be bewildered. And what are the signs of bewilderment that Arjun is showing? Fear and perplexity, trembling. Right? So all is under the Lord's orchestration. Krishna is doing everything, right? It's all Krishna's will. And we'll see that in I think Prabhupada says this in the 30th verse. Where is that? Here, Prabhupada is saying in the next verse, which is a continuation of this one, that Arjun is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. Right? And we should learn from the delusion of Arjun. So hope that made sense. If any comments or any confusion there, I just wanted to highlight, because when you read the purport, you will see contradictory statements by Prabhupada. What do we have to learn from it? I wanted to stress on that part. Hopefully that went through and made sense. If not, please let me know. Okay, good. Went through, made sense. Yeah, so don't look at Arjun as a weak person or he's in the material conception. No. What can we learn from it? Pick the lesson and move forward. Okay. So this 30th one is continuation of those earlier verses. He's saying, now I'm not able to stand here any longer. His legs are getting weak. I'm forgetting myself. His mind is reeling. Right. So that's what he's come to now. So he's unable to stay on the battlefield. This is verse number 30. Right. So now, until now, we saw that he was talking of bodily symptoms, right? Hands trembling. Yes, Sandeep Prabhu.
So, Prabhuji, just like you mentioned, I think to me, I realized kind of this, that, everybody of us is put into a situation, in a smaller way, obviously, like Arjun. So no matter how much determined you are, right? So for example, Arjun really wanted to kill all these people, Duryodhan, Dushasana, all of these people. He was like really determined. But when the time came, he actually got, confused. And obviously he wanted to throw away all of his, determination and kind of just act, in the clutches of Maya, and be bewildered. So from, to me, Broji, it's like, it's a everyday life, where we're determined to do things, and then suddenly some small input comes in, and get bewildered and do not do the duty. So that's one relation I have from this, that I wanted to bring it up here.
Okay, so you're saying that you're taking it as an indication of your own life, that we do also get, however determined we may be, we also get confused, and every day we feel that we are in situations like that.
Yes, and want to give up the duty, and because
Yeah.
because of bewilderment, and run away from the duty, basically.
Okay. Okay, that's a good point. Yes, and Bhagavad Gita is for such situations. It really hits the nail there, because you'll see Krishna, unless we don't bring Krishna into the picture, we always will be fearful, and our determination will always be shaky. So what you're doing now, you're acknowledging that this confusion, this state of mind is natural. It's going to come to everybody. And Krishna reminding Arjuna of his duty, not in a cold, mechanical way, but in the light of a higher purpose, service to others, ultimately to God. This helps us see our daily responsibilities not as burdens, but as offering to Krishna. Right? And then it also teaches us, inner steadiness. When you keep practicing this bhakti yoga, what happens is that Gita will teach you how to act without being paralyzed by fear, by doubt, or by selfish desires, right? So it's a manual for keeping the mind steady when life becomes restless, when your heart becomes restless. So it shifts our perspective. So I'm just adding a bit on what you're thinking, and how does Bhagavad Gita fit into that perspective. Just wanted to bring that out, right? So when we shift that perspective, that weakness, it transforms into strength. Arjun begins by saying, "I'll not fight." We'll just say that soon. Gandhi was falling, "I'll not fight." And then by the end, he declares, "My doubts are gone, Krishna. Karishe vachanam tava. I'll do as you are telling me." So the Bhagavad Gita is never going to remove your problems. I just want to clear that. and I give this analogy, which I heard from some senior devotee, that you're like a ship in an ocean. The ship will constantly be bombarded by waves, big waves, hard waves, heavy waves. Those waves will never go away. But your ship will become stronger when you read Bhagavad Gita. It'll be so strong that you won't be shaken by those heavy waves anymore. The waves will keep coming. So as I said, the Bhagavad Gita doesn't remove problems. Your world is not going to be simple and straightforward right away. It's going to be that heavy, heavy, tumultuous ride that you have, right? So, but then when Bhagavad Gita comes into your life, you'll be able to transform that weakness, those immense waves that continue to hit you. You will not be affected by them. Your tolerance to them will increase because of that fortification of your intelligence that will happen when you will read it every single day. Just wanted to add that part, but thank you for the realization, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes. So yes, Arjun he's saying now. So earlier were, if you notice in 29 verse, body is trembling, hair is standing, hand is slipping, skin is burning. However, from physical, now he's moved to mental. My mind is reeling, right? So he's moving away. So from a physical platform to a mental platform. So it's a very clear indication, as Sandeep was just saying, that material situations, they create perplexity for all of us in material creation, in this material life, right? So there are so many things that don't make sense to us. Right? So then, but if I'm just trying to understand by myself, everything by myself, then that incomprehensible things that are happening to me in my life, they become demoralizing. They disorient me. They can be devastating for me. Right? But if I bring Krishna into the picture and I do my best, then everything becomes easy and it becomes perfect. So all of us have experienced this at some point, right? So Arjun is having problem of misdirected self-interest. And why is that? Because he is, at least temporarily, moved away from Krishna. Krishna is right there, but psychologically, mentally, he's moved away from Krishna. And this verse, it is a verse in the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, second chapter, 32, 11 to 32. Oh no, not 11 to 32. Is it 37? Oh yes, 37. Bhayam dvitiya viniveshatasya. Yes, this is the verse. I like this verse. What this verse tells us, fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency of our illusion called Maya. So the moment we turn away from Krishna, fear grasps us. So one sure short way of being fearless is, or courageous, I would say, not fearless necessarily, courageous, in the midst of fear, is by turning back again towards Krishna. This is 11 to 37, if somebody's keeping scores. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next verse. So up to now, let me go back and look at the slides. Where were we in the slides? No, this one. Oh, no, this one. Which one? I wanted to see. Yes. So this was compassion part that we just read, that Arjun's reason for not fighting, that he was becoming compassionate, right? And then the next part that he will talk about is enjoyment. Like he's starting to talk about enjoyment. And we'll start seeing it from the verse number 31. Arjun is saying, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So now here the concept is come of enjoyment, that what will I enjoy by killing my own kinsmen? Right? So he's now starting to think about himself. What will I get out of it? Right? So that's an interesting point. So This is the beginning of the next section. This is verse number 31, as I was just telling you. 31, right? Yes, verse number 31. So that's the section. So now the word sukhani has come here, right? Sukhani, enjoyment. So, so enjoyment has come in, and and Prabhupada is highlighting in this purport somewhere, if I remember correctly. Yes, Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral code for Kshatriya. It is said that two kind of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in the battlefield under Krishna's personal order, and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are eligible to enter into the sun glow, which is so powerful and dazzling. So, Kshatriya's duty is to fight, and Arjuna is giving up that duty. Right? So, it's a misconception, happening there. So the reason Prabhupada is bringing out the sun god, the concept of sun god, because sun god is he marks the path of liberation for us, right? So he's the chief source for understanding the Vedas. He's kind of the gateway to liberation in a simple sense, right? So yeah. So now he started to show his enjoyment tendency in 31. And now is 32 to 35. I think this is the whole section, 32 to 35. Okay, that's the second section of enjoyment, second part of enjoyment. Let's see, how big is that purport? O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-laws, grandsons, brother-in-laws, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will be derived from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Okay. So Prabhupada is telling us that Arjuna is now addressing Krishna as Govinda. Okay. So here now the tables turned. Now Arjuna wants Krishna to satisfy his senses. We have been reading Krishna is Rishikesha, right? But then we are all meant to serve Krishna, but here it's all reversal. Now Arjuna wants Krishna to serve him, right? So that's something that that's something that's being highlighted here by Prabhupada in the purport, right? That and you see the use of the words like where was that? Kim bhoge, bhoga means to enjoy, and then rajena, right? So the kingdom, and then so such words have been now being used, right? So he's giving a speech like a Nobel Peace Prize winner gives, right? So and then he's calling Krishna also. He's calling him Janardhan also, I think, in one place. Yes, Janardhan towards the end, right? So he's calling him Janardhan. So he's saying, yeah. So Janardhan is in one sense. Now Arjun is actually also talking to Krishna sarcastically, right? So Janardhana means the Jana Ardhana, means maintainer of all living entities. So Janardhana. So he's maintainer of all the living entities, and he's trying to kill all of them. He wants all of them to be killed. So he's kind of Arjun is mocking him by using the word Janardhan here, right? So it's funny how when we turn away from Krishna, we become envious of Krishna and we start criticizing Krishna also. So if we try to, Prabhupada is telling in the purport that if we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, then our senses will automatically be satisfied. And there is this verse in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says that when we decorate, like he gives the analogy that if we decorate our face, our reflection automatically in the mirror automatically gets decorated. So when we serve Krishna, we please Krishna, we automatically become happy, right? Because we all are reflections. We all are reflections of Krishna. So we are pratibimb. The word Sanskrit word is pratibimb, means we are reflections. And Krishna is bimb. He is the original picture. So the Krishna is the reservoir of all the qualities of living entities. So we all reflect some quality of Krishna. So each and every individual of us has a quality of Krishna. Krishna's qualities are unlimited, just like all living entities are unlimited. So each one of us has a quality of Krishna. Right? So we are therefore sometimes called pratibhimbs. So when we try to make the Lord happy by serving Him without any material motives, then we automatically become happy and our lives become beautiful. Right? So here Arjun is highlighting that enjoyment is of concern for me. I want to show off my wealth. Whom am I going to show it? So that's a typical calculation of a materialistic person. So what is this? The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, for the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee or the miscreant. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjun wanted to excuse them. Yeah, an important point for all of us. And I think I have a quote of Chaitanya Charitamrita here. Yeah. Yeah, we should not offend devotees. If we offend devotees, we lose all our bhakti points. And Krishna becomes angry. He doesn't like it. Okay. Any comments, questions, thoughts? I'll take a pause here. I've been speaking for a long time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, one more thing that I liked Arjuna's sarcasm, I guess I could say that, is that he called Krishna Madhusudan, and he said that, he so basically he's saying that, oh Madhusudan, you're asking me to kill my teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-laws, grandsons, but you yourself did not kill any of your relatives. You killed Madhu, the demon Madhu.
Yeah.
That was, I was thinking about that reference.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. It's a very subtle point. I think it was, where was that? I think it's in
In 32 to 35, last one.
2 to 5, 32 to 35. Let's
He
see.
mentioned
Oh,
like
yeah. There's a Madhusudan is being,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Govinda, Madhu, Janardhan, like three.
The three names, yes. Right. Yeah, I know, that's right. Yeah. Killing Madhu was a dharma, right? Yeah, that was dharma. But then killing relatives, that looks like a dharma to Arjun. So, right. So Arjun is hinting that, oh, you may be the destroyer of demons, but here you're asking me to kill my own. So yeah.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
Krishna killed his mama. He was a demon though, but he was a mama.
yeah, you can say that. But yeah, I think rightly being pointed out that Arjun's sarcastic use of Madhusudan is with that thought in mind. And he's actually, it says, an inner conflict in his mind that he respects Krishna, but he just can't reconcile that Krishna's role as the upholder of dharma, and at the same time Krishna telling him to kill his own army. Yes, so there's an irony there, and there is sarcasm in his tone, Arjun's tone. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so then we are at 36. Sin will overcome us. Let me see which section is this. Is this
So,
new
Prabhuji,
section?
one point, Prabhuji, I think compassion came first, then came fear, right? So that's because, like you mentioned, other Mataji's point, right? Shivani Mataji is that compassion about other people. So we are saying that when we have a false compassion, that's when we have a fear generated in our hearts. Oh, if I don't help this person, then maybe they will not be saved or something.
I didn't get your point. When we have false compassion, then fear comes. Is that you're talking about
Yeah,
the?
Prabhuji, because in this case of Gita, like first came compassion, right? And then came fear. Because Arjun trembled. I mean, first he thought, oh, this is my relatives, right? He had compassion. And then he starts trembling. I'm going to kill these people. So to Shivani's Mataji's point, right? That, we have compassion, right? We want to help this person. And if we can't help this person, because they're not in Krishna consciousness or something, then sometimes we get fearful of these people, right? Hey, what's going to happen to these people? Maybe our relatives or whoever is not, So is it like something similar, like from a,
Yes. So if you see in this, right, in this section, so there was compassion, and then eventually there's fear also now. The 36th verse is starting of fear. So yes, Arjun's compassion comes first, that we see that, or he sees his relatives, teachers, friends, his limbs are quivering, mouth is drying, and so forth. And then he feels compassion also. Kripaya, there was this verse phrase used, Kripaya paraya vishta. I think it was in the 28th verse. But then this compassion is misdirected because it's based on bodily attachment rather than true dharma. Right then, fear arises. Right after that, Arjun's mind now projects it into the future. Oh my God, if I kill them, what sin will come to me? And there are other things that he'll talk about, family traditions and him going to hell. So yes, so fear of so sinful reactions, social collapse, and all that disgrace that piles up in his mind. Right? So real compassion is always guided by wisdom, as I was telling. Passion plus compass of knowledge makes compassion, real compassion. False compassion comes from a bodily identification, protecting someone's body even when their actions are destructive. So when compassion is misplaced, it creates inner contradiction. Our mind becomes confused, and that confusion manifests itself as a as fear and indecision, and then we mentally paralyzed. Yeah. So yeah, you brought it out right, bro. There's this stepwise thing happening to Arjun. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it is 30. Which was this? 36. I think 36 is what I was looking at. 36 is the new section Arjun is starting. So 36 to 38. Let's see what Prabhupada or their big purport. So let's see if we can wrap this section up, 36 to 38. Let's do that. So 36. So now, as I was saying, so the first reason that Arjun was giving for not to fight was compassion. Then he gave enjoyment. What am I going to do with all this kingdom if nobody's there to look at me enjoying it? And then now he's going to highlight that there is a fear of sinful reactions. So he's saying, sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Right? So now the sin aspect is brought up. So now Arjun is having a conflicting role. He's a Kshatriya, so he's supposed to fight. But then he's also looking at his relatives, bandhus, right? His dharma sankat, right? So conflicting duties in his life. Should I take care of my body? Should I sleep more, or should I wake up and chant early in the morning? Should I give my children Vedic education, or should I let them enjoy this material world? So this all is clarified when we read the Bhagavad Gita. Arjun is following Dharma Shastra, right? So significance now, and also Arjun is saying Madhav, right? He's the goddess of fortune. So what he's trying to say is that Krishna, you are Madhav, you are the goddess of fortune. Why are you bringing misfortune into this here, inauspicious? So the thing for us to understand and take home here for all of us is Krishna's actions are not always going to be pleasant, but they're always benevolent. They'll not be pleasant, but they'll always be beneficial for us. Surgeon's cutting is not pleasant, but it is helpful for us, right? So similarly, surgical knife of Krishna is cutting the bodily misconceptions for Arjun. Arjun is looking at it as inauspiciousness, right? So, and then Prabhupada is talking about the aggressors, right? 6 aggressors who are supposed to be killed. Poison giver, fire on house, sets fire, attacks you with deadly weapons, who plunders your riches, who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps a wife. And you'll notice all these things were done by the Kauravas. So Kshatriya Dharma is to kill such aggressors, right? But Arjun is taking care, he's trying to protect his own family members. That's his Kula Dharma. Kula means dynasty. So he's looking at his religion from being a part of a dynasty. But he's giving up his duty as a Kshatriya, which is what Krishna wants him to do. That you're supposed to kill all of these aggressors. Right? So, Bhima was poisoned, There was a house of lac in which Pandavas were put, and that was burned down. There was cheating. In the dice game, all their wealth was taken up. And then the Kauravas took away their land, and then Draupadi was also mistreated. So all of this happened to him. So according to Shastra, they were all supposed to be killed. Right? So the dharma is that they all should be killed. Right? So that's what Arjun should be thinking of. And that's what Krishna is highlighting, or through the Bhagavad Gita, we are being highlighted that, how to take that decision. We'll always have those kind of decisions. So we have to be strong. That's what is being highlighted here. O Janardhan, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sins? So now again, so he's stressing on the sin part. Right? So here, actually, he's kind of just repeating what he said earlier, that, what am I going to get by killing my own family members? I'm going to get the sin. And Prabhupada is saying, Arjun, however, could see the evil consequence and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when effect is good. When the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. So what Prabhupada is saying is that, yes, you have obligations towards your family and all that, but if there is effect is not good, like if you leave them, if you let them live, what is the effect going to be? There'll be more and more inauspiciousness. Duryodhan is an evil king. More and more evil will spread in the world. Then you should not fall trap to those obligations. That's what it is. So if my arm is having an infection which is going to spread to my whole body, the doctor is going to cut off my arm. He's not going to say, "Oh, your arm, you're in love with your arm, I should not cut it." No, it has to be done. So that's something that's been, that we have to think about. Yeah. Okay. Now I think I'll stop here. We'll start the next section later on next week. Any last minute thoughts?